Today I'm going to talk about a classic Sci-Fi Avalon Hill game, Merchant of Venus from 1988. And first of all, I appreciate subscriptions as I kind of fill out my library here. This is a pretty well received game. There's a newer version from a different publisher, came out later, but I understand that game also has an option for the same core rules that this original one has. Cover art's unique. It's like a kind of pirate guy in a spacesuit here, selling a couple trinkets to a beholder looking alien here. Very well done. Kind of cartoonish, kind of makes it kind of seem kind of late, and that's good. It's a standard bookshelf size game. Pretty good description on the back. Once there was a mighty galactic empire peopled by an uneasy alliance of intelligent species. Politicians schemed for power under a figured emperor, while warlike species kept the peace, and dozens of worlds traded in ideas, resources, and products. Richest of all were the traders of interspecies luxury goods, who cleverly terraformed a world to produce these rare luxuries. Their planet, an unused rim world, named for a minor local deity of the softer pleasures, was a by-world for wealth, luxury, shoe trading, and when the empire finally collapsed into a dark age of savagery, the memory of the Merchant of Venus lived on. Merchant of Venus, you play the part such a merchant exploring clusters of stars to find what remains of the civilizations that once dwelt there. The map portrays a small cluster of star systems where 14 intelligent species lie hidden in the ruins of the first empire. Each species is a dominant culture of a different system, but after centuries of savagery, no one knows where each culture dwells. As you discover the cultures, you can trade with them, buying and selling exotic trade goods, special devices. In your journeys, you can also stumble across other remnants of the First Empire, including unique treasures and weapons that automatically attack passersby. It's got a solitaire scenario, so I'm looking forward to trying that. Low to moderate complexity, 1 to 3 hours. Content shown here. So the 22 by 24 inch mounted map board. It's always nice when they have a mounted map board. 394 die cut double laminated playing pieces. 12 ship cards, 6 reference cards, 6 plastic pawns, 39 deed cards, 4 dice, play money, 16-page rulebook and designer note. So content, it's got these like 4 pages of quick play instructions and a map board effect summary in the back. Then the rules booklet, go over that in detail course. 3 color, mainly black and white. Solitaire flowchart in the back, comment summary. Got 4 unique dice, it's kind of interesting there. Interesting color on them. 6 pawns for the 6 players. Of course, some money, different denominations, 1, 5, 10, 20, 50, 100, and 500. Like one-sided, Monopoly kind of money. Some spaceships. So the player uses his pawn to indicate the movement of his spaceship, across the board, but these are the spaceships. Each player starts with a scout ship and may own only 1 ship at a time. Other ships can be purchased, but each time a player buys a new ship, must trade in his old one. So there's the hold capacity. These are the holds, the cost, trade-in value. It's the hull. This is the signs of the seller. Hull's got 1 shield. In this case, describes what's in the hull: 1 shield, 1 laser, 1 nova ball. Any relics? So it's the ships. Per hold, 1 good or 2 equipment per fare. This is the speed. And on the flip side of these, you have other information. Several options. Scouts, clippers, freighters, transports. Quite a mix with different movement and different equipment. Then you have 6 different reference cards for 6 different races. You got the Eep, Quasoth, Del, Nick, Wynome, Human. So on one side you got your factories, with the culture, cost, factory goods, cost and pays. Information about each port in this case costs 160, while their ports cost 200. Each fort in the system costs 40, while they're 50, and then they all on the back side. So it talks about Goods markers, the ID name, IOU, number and type, cost pays. Ships and equipment, science and cultures, industry, technology, metaphysics, bioengineers, galactic base, ships, cost, equipment, and cost. So here's the counters. There's a lot. There's 394 of them. And they're of different shapes. Most are half-inch by half-inch, but some are a little bit bigger. And most of them are normal thickness kind of counters. There's the D's for some reason are like thinner. I'm not sure why, but that's okay. And they don't come, I don't believe it comes with a counter tray like this, but use a GMT one, which fits perfect in this, so I just used that. These are some example ones. These aren't all the unique ones, of course. They come in a lot of different colors and different makeup what's on them. But you have the deeds, which show the factory symbol, factory goods made, cost of factory goods, cost of deed, culture ID, number name, sale price of factory goods. Then on the flip side, it's got a indicator of the system or worlds. And you also might have your base board symbol, name of the orbit box, and name of the system. Inhabited moon with deeds. And here's an example of the factory one, for instance. Can traits, cost, sale price, etc. Culture markers. So the culture ID number, name, sign, symbol of culture, cost of goods, cost of factory deed. Then IOU markers with the culture ID number and credit with culture. Factory goods marker, culture ID number, sale price of the goods, cost, flip side, cultures that buy that product. Goods marker, culture ID marker, sale price, name of the item, cost, flip side, cultures that buy them. Bonuses, culture destination of fare, payoff for delivery of fare, culture where fare starts, demand, goods that earn bonus, the bonus, culture that pays bonus, equipment, firepower, flip side, symbol of selling signs, cost and protection from penalties here, the symbol of the selling, cost of it, firepower, these are equipments, symbol of selling signs, cost of laser, then penalty markers, front and then back, cost of fort, or here's the name indicator, and also the player owning the fort, and then some space port. And then these are the relics, question mark here. So the cost of the relic, if bought from culture instead of found. So the cultures are species of beings who engage in trade. Each culture has an identifying number and a sign symbol. Each culture assigns defines the ships and equipment it buys and sells. So here's the map board. Pretty bright colors. It's a little bit cartoonish, but gives you a lot to work with here. So these are galactic bases. All players start the game in the galactic base, which is into the map board from the outside galaxy. Although all Space City symbols look like, there's only one galactic base. Star systems. The map board portrays a cluster of the star systems, which is separated from the others by the black void of space, which is connected to adjoining star system by paths of dots of varying colors. Each inhabited star system is named by the adjoining culture box, which houses a hidden civilization. Two star systems, supergiant and supernova, have no culture box and are therefore uninhabited. These are the culture boxes. Movement dot. These are penalty ovals. This is a navigation circle. And these are navigation ports. These are orbit boxes. All space dots, penalty ovals, asteroids, boxes, navigation circles, orbit boxes, space cities, and surface cities on the paths are movement dots. Surface cities are on the planets. All their movement dots, including space cities, are in space. Color of each space dot and penalty oval affects how hyperjump drives work. So space dot orbit boxes represent empty space that players occupy as they move through pawns. Penalty ovals are radiation hazards that affect trespassers. Navigation circles represent navigational hazards that restrict a ship's movement. Asteroids are uninhabited rocks large enough to land on. Question boxes are uninhabited rocks containing artifacts of the First Empire. Surface cities, space cities, are where the native cultures of each star system reside. The only difference in game turns between the surface city and space city is that the former requires more MP to enter and exit. Orbits. Orbits are located within movement dots, either orbit boxes or navigation circles. They represent areas above the cities suitable for building spaceports. Each orbit is a site where a spaceport can be built during the game and is labeled with the name of the spaceport that can be built there. Each orbit is also a place from which the local culture can be observed without discovering. Surface cities. The paths define which dots connect to each other. Stars and planets that do not connect to paths are ornamental only, do not affect play. Each surface city is at the end of a path. Paths do not run along the surface of the planet from city to city. Taking turns. Each time a player takes his turn, he can move his pawn and then trade if he ends his movement in a location where trading is allowed. If he's on a spaceport or city at the end of his movement, he can trade there, whether he moved that turn or not. He can never move in the same turn after trading. When he is finished moving and trading, his turn ends, ending the game. The first player to have a net worth of at least $2,000 in my deeds at the end of his turn wins. Then optional rules. Combat. Forts. Forts are penalty markers that players can build on the map. Each fort inflicts penalties on every player that enters. It's not except its owner. Attacks. When a player takes his turn, he can use his pawn to make attack. Weapons. Lasers and Nova balls are weapons. Each weapon starts in the bank and is bought or bartered like other equipment. Blasting. When a player is moving, he can use his weapons to blast other pawns or penalty markers, including forts or roster on the same dot. Or theft. When landed at a city or spaceport, a player can attempt to steal goods, spaceports, and factories from other players. Then the raster. The raster represents species of xenophobic megalomaniacs. Whenever a player rolls a 1 during his turn, during their movement or combat, he immediately draws a raster at random in place on the map. Rasters are penalty markers. When a player moves onto a raster, he must stop moving or pay the penalty printed on the marker. Solitaire. Set up the raster must be used to play Solitaire. In a Solitaire version, raster are not generated by the player's movement or combat die rolls. Instead, at the end of each turn, the player rolls 1 die to generate raster. If he rolls a 1, 2, 3, or 4, he draws 1 raster marker from the active pool and places it on the map on any spaceport orbit of his choice not already containing a fort or raster. Merging. If he rolls a 5 or 6, he draws 2 raster from the active pool. Eliminated raster are placed in the transit box if it is currently unoccupied. If the raster already occupies transit box, it is moved to the active pool, and the eliminated raster is moved to the reserve pool. Winning. To win, the player must amass a net worth of at least equal to the predestined game time limit. And then there's the solitary flowchart and combat summary, trading summary. So getting into setup and play here. So I'll be doing the solitaire game. In the solitaire game, you play against the rasters. You start with a scout ship and $20, and then you do the raster setup mix according to here. I'll be doing the game length of $2,000, which is 20 rasters with a value of 60 to 150. I'll just put those up here ready to go. It's great moving pawns around, but here's the pawn, but instead of a pawn, I'd like to actually use a spaceship to make it, a little more fun, I guess. And I'm just going to be using, from the Firefly game, I'm going to be using, Firefly class. That should work fine. And then you take the question markers and you put them on the, question mark boxes across the board here. Put the IOU markers on the culture boxes, shown here, all across. Culture markers. So there's, for the 14 culture markers, just set them off the side here. You can put their goods next to them, so they're kind of ready to go. Place the factory goods aside until the associated factory has been built as well. And bonus markers, put those just in a box, and you'll just randomly take them out as you go. Of course, all these goods markers give you a lot of good flavor, shining slime, custom hives, megalith, paperweights, etc. So then we'll kind of get into play. So first turn, starting movement, starts in the galactic base here. Then he's got a scout, so he rolls 3 dice. First of all, before you roll dice, you have to figure out which path you're going on, and he'll head up. He'll go towards this dot. Then you roll dice. 6 total. 1 movement point per dot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's different raster generation rules in Solitaire versus regular game. In the regular game, if you roll 1, there's a raster. But in Solitaire, at the end of the turn, you roll, see if you get one. And it's the end of the turn now because he moved, but there's no place for him to trade yet. So he'll roll. So on a 1 to 4, raster is generated, and they get a 3, so 1 is generated. And then you take one out of the active group, and you put it on any spaceport or orbit of your choice. This power of 150 is a pretty powerful one. It's for a demonstration. You'll put it over here in the spaceport. And since the transit box is vacant, you take the weakest raster and you put it in the transit box. So since he's the first to go to this system, he discovers what the culture is, flips over the IOU, and it's 4B for 90 credits. So he gets 90 credits for discovering the culture. And then he puts the culture marker there. And it's humans. And do the next turn, movement. 8. So his movement, he can move 8 MP, but he'll just move 1 here, and then he'll land on the comfort station, which will end his movement phase. And then he can trade there. So it's a 4B. The cost is in the upright and the sales price is below. So they either have rock videos you can buy for 120 or primitive art for 60. He only has 110. 1. So another raster pops up. Randomly draw him out of here. He'll put him up on the spaceport. He doesn't think he'll be getting up there anytime soon. And since there's a raster in the transit box now, that'll go to the active and be mixed in with the others. Then we'll do the next turn. Again, roll in 3. So he's going to declare he's going to be going this direction because he wants to get up to this system, discover this culture, and sell some stuff at that space city. 10. Not quite there yet. No trading to do. Roll for the rasters again. 6. So it does a merging. So for the merging, you take 2 out of the active pool. See what their strengths are. So it's a 90 and 150. Total of 240. And then you take the sum of that and you put that 1 in the active pool. That way you're having 1 more powerful one in there. Then you put these back in the reserve. That's merging. And that's the end of that turn. So now he's going to be moving up. He's going to go in this direction. Roll 3 dice. 10. 1, 2, and then land on the space city. Since he discovered this system, then he sees what the culture is. Gets 100 and it's 7A. See, that adds that to his total. Brings 7A over the zone. As far as buying items, so we'd like to buy the deed in this system, which is for a spaceport on bypass. But unfortunately, there's a raster there, so he can't do that. So he wants to go and combat that raster. But first he's going to, and that deed will cost 200, but First, he's going to buy a laser, and you can only buy equipment that has the same technology marker on it as the item, and it does. So he's going to buy that for 100, and place that. His Hulk is allowed to carry one laser, but he had to purchase it first, so now he's a laser. And then he rolls again to see what the raster is going to do. 5. Another merging of rasters going on. So draw a couple. It's 190. Put these in the reserve. Put the 190 in the mix with the active. So next turn he's going to move up and try to combat that raster. See what he gets for a roll. Plenty. He's got 12. He's going to go this direction. So he'll be battling the raster at bypass. Actually, it's not possible for him to be successful here because he to do the battle he would, let's go through mechanics, but you roll the die, multiply it by 10, so 60 plus 20 for his laser, but then against the raster has 10 times the roll, which is 30 plus that's 180, so he's not going to be successful there, so he's not going to do that. But that's how that mechanic would work. And then he keeps on going since he's not doing that battle. To discover this culture, he lands on a penalty marker. So he has to pay this penalty fee to keep going. He's going across a couple towns, so he has to pay 20 to keep going. Otherwise, if he didn't pay, he'd have to stop. He's going up this way because there's a raster here and he wants to go to this port. He's got enough movement to make it there. So he'll go to rainfall. First of all, he discovers what the system is. It's a 9B for 90, the wallow. So he'll get some more money. You'll see what they have there. First of all, he'll check out deeds. So Civilization has a deed for portable pipe organs for 100. He'll buy that. It doesn't take up any space in his ship, but he'll pay the 100 for that. So now that a factory's there, he'll indicate it by putting there. This is a factory good, so he can buy that factory good and sell it. So he'll buy one of those and put in his hold. And that can only be sold to the civilizations 10, 1A, 1B, and 2. So it's a little bit about how to play Merchant of Venus from Avalon Hill 1988. There's also a more recent version that came out from another publisher that I understand also includes classic rules as an option. It's a great game. It's obviously mainly pick and trade, but you also can outfit spaceships, and there's some random events that can happen. In the Solitaire, you can go up against these bad guys that are messing up your space stations. Got a lot of variety of tactics and strategies you can do. I played it solo, but I imagine when you do with several players, it can get quite interesting when you have several different races going against each other. It's definitely a unique game. It's kind of hard to find out there. Definitely recommend it if you can come across it. Definitely recommend it. I'll give it a 9 out of 10. Thanks a lot.